Today, I want to talk about marketing budgets. In my experience, most therapists' marketing budgets are kind of like the budget I had when I was a kid. That budget being, well, you spend as little as possible and make it work. Sometimes that's necessary. You simply don't have the funds to market. But as they say, it takes money to make money. And that's very true with marketing. Unless you have a background in marketing, you're likely going to have to pay someone to help you. And I've noticed an interesting pattern around budgeting for marketing. Therapists very often will underbudget for it, sometimes dramatically, or they have a figure in their head that they made up, and anything above that is too much. Hey there, I'm Kristie Plantica, and I'm the founder of Place Digital, a boutique marketing agency for therapists. This is Practice Marketing Insider. Each week, I examine one piece of outdated or overblown marketing advice for therapists and explain why it's inaccurate and what you should be doing instead. A lot of therapists think that they can spend $1,000 per month on marketing and build $1 million practice. And look, I get where this comes from. A lot of therapists have no concept of what companies actually spend on marketing. The rhetoric online around growing a therapy business is often referred to as growing a practice, which is true, but sometimes that language allows therapists to sidestep what's really required of any business to grow, which is marketing. And good marketing at that. A lot of my marketing friends in other industries never really have to make a case for their work. Entrepreneurs in other industries typically understand that you have to spend money on marketing to get in front of enough people to make money. But I see this disconnect all the time. Someone will come to us with ambitious revenue goals. Maybe they want to build $1 million group practice, and then they tell me that their marketing budget is $1,000 per month or $2,000 per month. And they genuinely believe that they can get there with that investment. Here's the reality. You cannot spend less than your competitors and expect better results. Just like in therapy, you get what you pay for. Someone can go to BetterHelp and pay a low, flat fee every month. But we know that it's more difficult for therapists to provide high-quality care when they work for companies like that because they're overworked and underpaid. The exact same thing is true in marketing. If you're underpaying someone for work, you're never going to get the result that you hoped for. A lot of times, a practice owner will come to us and they'll go with someone else because cost is a big part of that decision, which I understand. We've all been in a position where this is the amount of money I can spend and that's it. There's no way around it. But what got you here won't get you there. So let me give you some actual numbers on what you should be budgeting. In healthcare, between 10 and 20% of your revenue going towards marketing is pretty standard. And then in times of growth, you often need to invest even more. So if we were to take that benchmark, if you want to build $1 million practice, that means you should be spending $100,000 per year on marketing. That's about $8,000 a month, not $1,000 per month. I know that might sound shocking, and those exact figures aren't actually representative of what our clients spend with us, for example, but that's a more realistic way to look at what it takes to compete and grow at that level. Now, does that mean you need to spend that much from day one? No, but it does mean you need to invest ahead of your growth, not behind it. We work with group practices specifically at Place Digital, and there are different growth stages that every group practice goes through. Solo practitioners have their own growth stages as well. Often, to exit one stage and enter another, you will need to invest ahead of your growth. So if you're only spending a couple $100s per month on marketing as a solo practitioner, and you want to be making $10,000 a month, that's either going to take a very, very long time if you do it that way, or you need to set a little bit more aside if you want to meet those goals sooner. I absolutely think that there's an argument to be made for years lost to revenue when you're not marketing, but I digress. Let me talk about lead generation for a second, because this is where the math really matters. One of the things that I refer to a lot is the reactive practice growth cycle. I talked all about it in episode 3, so definitely give that a listen if you'd like more information. But essentially, in the reactive practice growth cycle, you just start marketing to quickly fill a caseload, and you don't really make strategic investments for the long term that are going to keep people coming to your website year after year after year. The antidote to the reactive practice growth cycle is something that we call the proactive practice system. This is the system that we have observed across our most successful clients. It has 3 parts, and I talk all about it in my book, which is coming out this year. But the first of the 3 parts in the proactive practice system is lead generation. If you do not have enough leads coming in, it's impossible to grow. There's no way around it, especially if you're a group practice. You can maybe be a fringe case solo practitioner success story and make very few leads work if your retention is really high. You might not need as robust of marketing. But if you're running a group practice, trying to fill and maintain caseloads, you need a lot of leads coming in, always. If you don't have the leads coming in, it is not possible to sustain a practice at scale. You could try, you would stumble upward for however many years, but let me tell you, it is a stressful, not fun way to run a business. This is one thing that you don't have to worry about if you have strategic marketing investments in place. SEO, which is what we do at Place Digital, along with PR and CRM implementation, is one way to go. There's also Google Ads, which is an excellent way to generate leads for a practice. There are different ways to go about it, but you have to spend money on marketing, real money. And if you want to reach a certain level of revenue, a couple $100s a month on marketing isn't going to get you to a place of abundance in your business. Marketing is not the thing to skimp on. I'm not going to get into good versus bad marketing today. I think I should just do a whole episode on what to look out for when you're hiring a marketer, but I can guarantee that if you're not spending enough money, you're not going to get a good service because it's simply not possible. As a marketing agency owner myself, I know the financials on this. We have a large staff and lots of tools that we need to do our work. It's a very time-intensive business. It's a very person-intensive business. So if you're working with someone and the price just feels really low, frankly, I would be concerned about it, and I wouldn't invest in it. I would just save my money for someone who can actually do a good job. Here's the bottom line. If the result you want is to be on page 1 of Google in a competitive market, that's going to cost you a certain amount of money, because that is the amount of work and resources required to do that. You can't expect to spend $2,000 a month when your competitor is spending $6,000 a month and get the same result. It's not your job to understand marketing or even care about the mechanics behind it. But it is frustrating having conversations with therapists over the years when marketing just feels like an afterthought to them. The way they talk about it makes it seem like it's just something that they have to do or that they should be doing, not something that is absolutely central and critical to their business success. Getting to a certain place in business costs a certain amount of money in marketing. I see this with Google Ads too. Spending a couple $100s per month just isn't enough money to do advertising on Google. That's the way it's designed. Certainly not effectively, definitely not in competitive markets. If you want private pay clients in competitive areas, it's going to cost you. It's the reality of doing business now. There have never been more therapists in private practice. It's never been more competitive online. Getting to a certain level of success just has a cost. You really can't get a bargain on it because if you're getting a bargain on it, you're not going to get the result that you need to be successful. Either do it well and do it completely or don't do it at all. You can waste so much money on marketing that just isn't robust enough to make a dent in the market. It might feel good while it's happening. Oh, I got a blog post here. I got some clicks from that. But when it comes to actually getting a result from your marketing, it just requires a certain amount of time and resources to get that done. So when you're shopping around looking for help with your marketing, keep in mind that anyone who is charging too little probably isn't going to deliver what you really need to move forward in business. It will cost you more in the short term, but you will certainly benefit in the long term. Don't think about your business 3 months from now. Think about your business 3 years from now. Who is going to be the partner that's going to help you get there? And spend accordingly. So there you have it. You cannot build $1 million practice on a $1,000 per month marketing budget. The math just doesn't work. If you want to reach ambitious revenue goals, your marketing investment needs to scale with those goals. That doesn't mean you need to spend a fortune from day one, but it does mean you need to invest ahead of your growth, not after it. You can't expect to spend a fraction of what your competitors are spending and somehow get better results. That's just not how it works. Budget realistically, work with quality partners who charge what they're worth, and think in years, not months. Marketing isn't an expense to minimize, it's the engine that makes everything else possible. And that's it for this week's episode. If you want to connect, you can find me on LinkedIn or Instagram at Kristie_PlaceDigital. If you're interested in working with me and my team, you can head over to placedigital.com. I'm Kristie Plantinga. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.